So this is my video. I was God took me to hell. And God works with me with visions, dreams, hearing, seeing. And I haven't developed it enough to purposefully do it. It's kind of one of those things where it just be happening. And how this started, it started on the week of my dad's death anniversary week. And that Monday, uh, T.D. Jakes is one of the preachers I listen to because I like hearing preachers that had a hard knock life. So if you come from the bottom and come up, we can vibe. So in my dream, I see an image of his likeness, and it said, "Do not forsake the assembly." And typically, when it's been scientifically proved, if you tell somebody something three times, that they got it. And sometimes I do it purposefully. People looking at me like, "Why is she repeating it three times?" Because when you get to the third time, that means you heard it and you should have digested it. And that's a lot of time God does it three times. And he said it three times. Do not forsake the assembly. Do not forsake the assembly. Do not forsake the assembly. Well, and the reason why I know is God, because it's a very calm, authoritative voice. Like I know is like within your that's him. So I'm like, I gotta go to church. And I went through church hurt. So I'm like, church. Ah. So that week I had 4 dreams. That was dream number 1. That was like a Monday. Tuesday, somebody I used to date, there was a picture of them and the person they dated after me, but she was fading out the picture. And then she finally disappeared. And I was like, I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, well, neither one of those people, they ain't in my life, ain't for me to find out. Night 3 is my dad's anniversary date. And I make a video. And I was like, because my parents visit me in my dream, like, visit me anytime. It's okay. Well, that night I went to sleep. My mom was running the airport. Okay? Because she's running an airport. And her waking day, in her late 20s, early 30s, she ran Trailways in Atlanta. And that's how my parents met. My dad drove the bus. My mom ran the bus station. So in this particular setting, my mom's running the airport. And I see a plane. I like watching planes land. I like boats, planes, cars. I like anything that moves. So I was like, my mom pulls up. She's like, get in the car. And I got my baggage. And I'm trying to see the airplane land. And the feet kicks out, but it can't land because the runway is full. And she's like, well, that plane can't land because the runway is full. And I tried to look behind me. It's an old plane trying to take off. I'm like, let me see that one. When I look back again, that airplane was gone. She's like, oh, don't worry about the airplane. That's an old airplane. So she's driving me around. So I'm going to take you to see your daddy. She's driving me around. She's telling the airplanes to move. She actually runs the airport. And when I get to the end, Greyhound is the airlines. Okay? We put our bags on the conveyor. I go up. My dad's healthy. So my dad was big before cancer got to it. And then I gave him a hug. And then I woke up from the dream. And I was like, I got to find out what the airplane dream means. Because when you're driving the airplane, that means you're going somewhere far and fast. So it's kind of like, where am I going to be boarding an airplane? That means I'm going to go somewhere far and fast. So this airplane was trying to land, and what came to me is the airplane that was trying to land is my blessing, but my runway is full, so I got to clear my runway so my blessing can land. So I was like, well, I do need to work on my forgiveness because I feel part of my runway being blocked, blessing blocked, is holding on to people offense, people doing things to me. So I started trying to work on that. And then I went a night without dreaming. And then that next night, which is a Friday, because that's 5 nights. First 3 were dreams, 1 was a break, and then Friday. And I heard this voice, and I knew it was God's voice. Cause it's a calm, authoritative voice. And it said, "We do not worship Dagon. We do not worship Dagon. We do not worship Dagon." I'm like, Dagon. I do remember a story in the Bible about this idol, and God was knocking them over and breaking them in pieces and stuff like that. But I was like, that it don't resonate to why it would have anything to do with me. And in the dream, God said that there are wicked witches praying to this demon god, and they know the consequences of their actions. So they're well aware of what they're doing. So in the dream, I go outside, it's like a parade going on, and I see the sky open. And there's these doves that is coming out the sky, and they take up the entire sky. And there's like 12 of them. And you can see them, they look like planes getting ready to take up. They come up to the edge of the cloud. You can see the dove face, and their body takes up the whole sky. And I'm looking at people like, do you see that? Can you see that? You don't see that? You don't see that? And I'm like, what in the world? So nobody sees it but me. So when I look again, the sky looked kind of like a television. And I was like, oh, I can see in the spirit world now. Cool. But then I didn't know what to do with the dream. So I called certain people that are dreamers like me to tell. That's my son that's snoring. To tell what happened. So after that, I started looking up this God, and this got linked to the Pope and all this kind of stuff. The Queen dies, and then this mermaid movie comes out, and it's like, because the God is a mermaid. It's half fish, half human, and it has all these symbols on its hat. And the Pope has the exact same symbols. Don't know what that means, because I'm not into politics like that. It doesn't, it doesn't resonate with me. So after that, leading up that next week, every Sunday I'm in my home. I haven't found the church home yet, but I figured I have church with myself. So while trying to get my gospel music together, there's a video about hell that comes up. And I'm like, I don't want to watch that. I don't watch that. No. When I clicked on a video that was nowhere near that video still played. Now, how God works with me, if I drop the Bible, if I pick up the Bible and accidentally drop it, it turns to a page I'm supposed to be reading. Or if I open the Bible up on my phone, the verse I'm supposed to be reading is there. If I'm supposed to see something, a video that I don't want to see, or a video that I wouldn't even, it's already clicking on will start playing. That's how it works. I was like, all right. So the video about Hitler starts playing. There is a woman, and I will leave the link below. There's a woman that she was a lesbian, and she did drugs, and she OD'd on drugs and went to hell. And her story was so traumatic. I was like, I'm going with that lifestyle right now. Like it was traumatic and believable. You know what I mean? Because if you go through sleep paralysis and all that kind of stuff, it kind of lines up. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, say less. I don't have to do that. So I can work on something else now. So after that, a video of a black man who used to be a drug dealer and a pimp in California, he goes and he talks about this car wreck where he was drifting off to sleep and him and the girl swapped places. And she ended up doing the same thing, drifting off to sleep. And next thing you know, car's flipping. And for him, everything goes black. And when the car finished flipping, the girl sees his hand there and not him. Because I had to rewind that part. I was like, she saw what? She saw his hand in the car but didn't see him. He was ejected out the car into a pond. And when he told that, he rose about the pond and saw droves of people, he followed the droves of people. All those people going to hell. That's crazy, right? And I was like, wow. And when he told what he saw, he said he saw souls chained up in hell. He's like, the time just kind of like you could just zip, 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 zip. It's crazy. And I was like, oh my God. That Sunday I was held out. I can't watch another hell video. I can't do it. But it started making me want to get right. And I knew I had an issue with forgiveness. Because when somebody offend me, I'm offended. So I'm like, eh. So, I started trying to find preachers that talked about forgiveness. Once again, the only preacher I found that talked about forgiveness was T.D. Jakes. He went scriptural on him. Okay? So in the middle of the week, I get home with my son and we cooking. And like I said, when I cook, I typically light a candle, got my water, gospel music, something playing that calms me down after a long day of work. There's a white preacher, a white woman. And the reason why I'm using race, because a lot of people got an issue with the Bible because they think it's the white man's religion. That's not it. When you're a spirit, you ain't got no color. When you're a spirit, you don't have any color, okay? So this woman talks about God taking her to heaven and hell. And she said God took her to hell for unforgiveness. And when you go, all your sins are counted. Everyone. It's so many sins. We passed the 10 Commandments. Like it's a whole bunch of sins. If you actually go through the Bible, you will definitely understand what sin is. It's more than the 10 that they named. And she was like, oh. And she explained what grace was. And it made sense. Grace is for the sins that you don't know you're committing. Or the ones that you're working on, that you're trying to stop. You're actually, your heart, your mind, your soul. God can see that. God can see what's going on up in here. God can see what's going on up in here. You can't finesse God. So when she told what happened, she said she was in a teardrop shaped cell. Because of course, it ain't no smiling in hell. So I was like, my God, I got to start working on forgiving. I really got to work on forgiving. So we approach another Sunday. And for me, I'm one of those people where once I dive into a subject, I dive all the way into it. Like I got to learn the quirks and the terms, and that's just how I am. So I get another video of another black man. He might be 22, 23. He OD'd on LSD. And he talked about what it was his dying process where he started seeing the demons. Yeah, so y'all out here doing the drugs and stuff. If you go too far, you're going to start seeing these spirits. So he said he was in the car, he was panting, because he got hold of some bad drugs. He's panting, and he's trying to calm himself down, his body acting up. And he said when his friend got in the car to check on him, he saw the demon in him. And he got the car, started running. And he said, and everything went black. And what really got me, when he said God had him like this, right? You got to be big to to hold, to pick up somebody like me and be like this. You know what I mean? And he said, I'm sorry, my son, you did. And when I'm watching the video, I'm like, ugh. And the boy said, I'm not dead. He like, I didn't. He said, you died. He said, you committed suicide. And the boy like, I didn't kill myself. He said the voices below him said, acid. And God let him go. God told him that you were running away from me instead of to me. And a lot of us, that's what we're doing. Because it got me. Because I was like, wow. I was like, wow. Like, you, because if an inkling of you believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and you hear these testimonies, it's going to get you straight. It's going to make you want to do the right thing. So after that, there's a white man that went in the 80s. He said, I was a devout atheist. I ain't believe it. He said, I was even in Scientology. I didn't believe it. And he said he drank some bad water. Bad water. Like, you get bad water? Bad water. And it killed him. And when he told his experience, he talked about, it starts off okay. And they do, like, to be like, do. You're here now. You can't come back. So he said the guy was taking him to different cells with people. He said you could see people that's actually dropped down in their cells. And they got to go, the first part of your punishment is your life on repeat. You got to go through every little thing you've ever done in life. And he said when he was walking, he had the ability to know what that person had done. So the most memorable part of his story, when he tells about this woman that thought she was a great woman. She's a pillar of the community. She's great, but at home, she abused her children. I was like, wow. Because she had everybody else fooled. But when you got home, you were a whole another person. And he says she's watching this thing thinking she has made it to heaven and not realizing that it starts off nice and then it flips. So he talked about seeing Adolf Hitler. Everything he's done to people is happening to him down there. He said the gas chamber, he watched the demons put the gas mask on him. He died, bring him back. It's like you don't die. It's almost like the video game, that rest pause thing. You get back up. Something like that. All of them talked about seeing where the demon was snatching folk arms and stuff off and the arm come right back. Like, you just don't die. And I'm like, oh my God. In my head, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I'm going to live right. I'm going to do whatever I got to do not to go there. That's where it came with me. So when I laid down that day, I finished cooking, and I laid down that night, I could hear this roaring, snapping, crackling, and popping noise. Now, I like barbecue. So when you hear that fire like that, this was like, I can't even tell you how many times over I thought my house was on fire. So I'm trying to wake up. And I can't wake up. So I'm trying to wake up. And this angel comes to me, right? I know it's an angel. Because I didn't feel the burning sensation. I didn't get the ride everybody else got. I was straight up in the fire. And he showed me the scroll. The scroll drops and it keep going. I mean, the scroll is about a mile long. Because I ain't been no angel. I'm not going to act like I just been an angel here. I have been far from that, okay? Far from that. And I can't disclose none of it here on this camera. So at the top of the list, it had unforgiveness and everything else was blurred out. And I was like, all I could do was just be like, wow. There was nothing else to talk about. There's no, I did this because she did that. There's no, I doing it because you are accountable and responsible for you. So I didn't even set my alarm clock that morning. I got back in my body dead at 6 o'clock. That couple seconds was my whole night of sleep. And when I got back into my body, y'all, I felt something break off me. I can feel something break off me. Like I can't explain what broke off me. But one thing I do know, I ain't worried about no women. No, I'm not doing that no more. And as far as forgiving, baby, it's forgiving. Whether you ask for it or not, God got you. Trust me. Trust me. After I saw those flames, I don't have to worry about nobody who do me dirty. Because if you have convinced yourself that you ain't got to talk to God about doing dirt, baby, I saw where you going. I saw it. I ain't got to worry about you. I don't. It's not a game. And then God told me who to contact in my phone. That's the next thing. I had to contact people in my phone and tell them what I saw. I was like, oh my God, I gotta tell them. Oh my God, I gotta tell them. I gotta tell everybody. Boy, like God, like yeah, you finna tell everybody. You're going to tell like I don't have an There's no option here because the only other option, the option that I saw, I'm not picking that option, so I'm gonna follow the directions. Is tell it. So I called some friends, and I had one biological family member I had to call. That's right. If you're a family member and you didn't get a phone call, God didn't tell me to call you. I called one family member, and the rest were people I've known for 20 plus years. Okay? So when you got the call, I've known you for 2 decades at a minimum. So that means we either met in our late teens, early 20s, or in one person case, I didn't get a chance to talk to her. I met her when I was like 6. So, long story short, 20 plus years. And I am going to talk about unforgiveness and willful sin in my next video because a lot of people are stoned out, been taught wrong. And the teachings that we have been receiving is tailored to the lifestyle of doing whatever you want to do and think that you're going to heaven when you finish. And that's not it. That's not it. That's not how that goes. I just want to let you know that's not how that goes, okay? God forgives all sin. There is one. That's blasphemy. But you got to remember, if you die in sin, how can you ask him for forgiveness? Because you died in the middle of doing it. Like how? You got to understand. You got to look at it like if you're not doing it, you may not die. Doing that, might go out a little peaceful. But we was taught that we live by grace, and basically the teaching I grew up with was, you do what you want, and God will forgive you for all your sins. You just live how you want to live. That's not okay. It's not right. That's not right. That's wrong. I went and found Bible scriptures that shows that information is not correct. And based on what I saw there, nobody should go there. And if you don't believe, that's a you problem. It's going to be a you problem. I'm not here to convert or convince. I'm here to tell what I saw and let God do the rest. And if you need to see it for yourself, ask God. Show it to me. You'll see it. He will do it. Because I asked God to take me places in my sleep. Because I tell you, God has taken me places in my sleep. And I enjoyed it. This trip, oh my God. But I appreciate it because it got me straight before I took my last breath. I rather try my darn gonest to be right with God Then go out here and just be like, no, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and whatever happens, happens. Yeah, don't be that fool, cause a lot of them, it's more of them than anything. God knows if you are sincere about being forgiven for your sins when you ask Him. God knows if you're planning to repeat this action tomorrow, like He knows. That's why you can't finesse God. You will never be able to finesse God. So long story short, y'all, I have spoke for 25 minutes. God took me to hell. He told me to tell my story. I have been called to teach or preach. I know teaching is in there, and possibly preaching. I don't know about pastoring, but definitely teaching and preaching. I have been called to do that. So I am going to follow my calling. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the bottom line, man. Y'all get right out. Don't fall for if you live in a sinful lifestyle, and when I mean sinful, it typically is more than sex that makes your lifestyle sinful. Don't get it confused or twisted. Get it together while you got time, because grace is giving you time. Grace is giving you time to get it together. That's grace. That's a part of it. So, like I say, that's it, y'all. Appreciate you. My YouTube channel is Sucker Free TV. Because we ain't finna be no suckers out here. Sucker Free TV.